Well, hi again, and welcome to Coffee with Craig. I'm Craig Hampton Parker. I'm a psychic medium, and those of you that come to this show will know what it's all about. Basically, we talk about what's happening in the world using my psychic abilities, sometimes to give some predictions of these things, and my sort of standpoint and viewpoint as a psychic medium. So today, I'm going to look at the royal family, and in particular, some of the things I've said recently in an article in the Daily Mail, so I can clarify what I've said and give you some further insights into it. So, welcome to Coffee with Craig. Well, good to see you all again, folks. Right, okay, we're going to look at the royal family today, but as I usually say, if you're here for the first time, do please follow the channel if you enjoy it. And if you're here many, many times, give me a thumbs up because it helps that dreaded algorithm to help the channel to be recognized and seen by lots of people. Well, some of it's being seen by quite a lot of people recently too, because the newspapers again have been taking an interest in this channel, which is very nice. And I had an interview with the Daily Mail, which I must say they're very pleasant about things as well, quite nice to deal with. And they asked me to do some predictions, and in particular, I said, "Well, what do you want me to make predictions about?" There's so many areas, and one of the main things that came up was about the royal family. So I focused mainly on that, although we went into lots of other stuff too in the article, and it's on the Daily Mail website if you want to go and have a look at it. But I thought, well, okay, now it's been published, let's have a think about some of the things that they've asked me about, and I'll look particularly into some of the thoughts about the royal family, and particularly at the moment, what's happening. I'd quite like to expand on with Harry and his recent visit to the UK and what's happening with him, because so I made a number of predictions, and I'll read them one at a time, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about it and what I think regarding it. So one of the predictions I said was this one. I said King Charles is they wanted to know about King Charles and what would happen to him, so I thought, well, I'll do each one at a time. And what I've said here in my original notes is King Charles is a fighter, and I see him longer than many would anticipate. So that's quite interesting, I think, in some respects as well, because how ill is King Charles? We've had very much um, a blackout in many respects about royal illnesses. I mean, it's been the way very often with the British press that you'll often see a sort of still what's left of it, a sort of gentleman's agreement that we don't sort of speculate about how long the king's got to live and what his illness is, because we don't know how ill he is. There's been a lot of talk of it in press outside of the UK, but we've still got lots of question marks over him regarding his illness here, and what sort of cancer has he got. None of us know. So the press don't basically report a lot about this, and it's kind of as far as we're getting, the story here is, okay, Charles has had cancer. He's more or less cured of it, it seems to suggest. But we're not told the whole story, are we, here in the UK? First and foremost, like I said, we don't know what type of cancer he's got. So if he's cured of cancer, has he been cured of very dangerous form of cancer? Is it one of those incurable cancers? Is it prostate cancer? Is it brain cancer? Is it stomach cancer? Is it liver cancer? What is it? There's a quite high, recovery rate from cancer. But Harry, after he lost his court case here about his protection and so forth, he said his actual words were, "I don't know how much longer my father has." So if you were to say that about someone in your own family, it would kind of indicate, wouldn't it, that there was a much more virile form of cancer than just something that you've got over. When he says, "I don't know how much time my father has," I mean, that's quite a loaded statement, really. This is only usually said about someone when we've acknowledged that they're terminally ill. Now, Harry is likely to be told an awful lot more than the press are told, or Joe Public's told generally, as a family member, even though he is, an estranged family member. Yeah, it's still like he's blowing it here on what's been said about the king. Funny, I'm getting a strange sense of deja vu as I'm saying this, but it's only said usually about someone that's really ill. So although I feel the king's going to fight on, and he's going to keep going, and he's going to live perhaps a lot longer than we anticipate, because he's doing a fantastic job, I think. And often, if you've got something really horrible in your life, it's a good idea to throw yourself into work. And he's thrown himself into work with a real cheerful attitude, it seems, which is very good for helping the body to keep going. I think with cancer, you can fight it through good, strong thinking like that. And also, I think by cautious diet and fasting, I would suggest, with things like this. And I think he's taken on board a lot of these things. But like Harry is saying something there, that he indicates that his father perhaps is a lot more gravely ill and not expected to recover when he says that. So here we go. He's putting his foot in things again, and I don't think that's very helpful. I can almost hear Meghan in the background saying, "Well, when you go to court, you tell them this and tell them that, and you're going to tell them this and tell them that." And I think Harry basically has major psychological problems, many of which are triggered, I think, by a fear of loss. I mean, he lost his mother, so understandably he has that. But a fear of loss. And I think the shock of the court case, I seem to be staying with Harry quite a lot here, but the shock of the court case alone is a loss, isn't it? And the BBC, when they did that interview with him recently, they didn't ask the real serious questions. They didn't ask the serious questions. I mean, he is saying that he needs protection, right? And he wants state protection. But why does he need such huge state protection? Does he know something that we don't, or does he have a major fear that his life is in danger in much higher ways? I mean, you might remember back, there were two incidences where the royal family, as well as the fact that the royal household's been broken into before, but some shots were fired at the Queen when she was on parade down the Mall, I think it would have been, just before you come up to the Buckingham Palace there, I think it happened. 6 shots were fired at her. And she didn't flinch. She just carried on her horse and kept going. She had that sort of incredible way of dealing with things. Charles did the same sort of thing too. When there was an attack on him, I think it was Darling Harbour or something in Australia, wasn't it? And they just carried on. But Harry seems to have a sort of a paranoia, and I suppose it's understandable in many ways. It must come from similar thoughts when Diana, there was all the conspiracy theories, or were they, about Diana that she was going to be bumped off by the state. And does Harry think that people want to bump him off or something? Is there a sort of a paranoia there, and is that paranoia also fueled by Meghan? Because I mean, she's very much, I think, of the mindset, everybody's against you, Harry. Only me. I'm the only person that can look after you. I'm the only one that can deal with the world for you. She weakens him. And he must know. He's been in the military and so forth, so he must know how it works. He must know that there's what the protection is and so forth. But really, if you're going to leave the royal family, and if you've got this fear of loss, you kind of also have this thing with him, that he kind of wants love from the people he's attacking. He's wants love from the people he blames. He blames his father for everything. He blames his royal family for everything. He blames his brother for everything, and so forth. But those people he blames, he also wants love from. So it's a very weird psychological state. And I feel that he's conflicted in his mind here between the constant nagging of Meghan, because I feel I can almost hear her, can't you? Would you think I'm wrong with this? But it's like, tell them we want this, we want that, tell them this, go into court, you say this, and he's being kind of manipulated. Many of us think he's being manipulated. And that's why I feel, in some respects, that Harry has a yearning to actually want to return to the UK. He may even try to do that. And I have said in some of my earlier predictions that when things break with him and Meghan, which I thought by now would have happened, but these things are drawn out. But I feel it's still there. They will break eventually, I feel. I just don't think this relationship can last. Sooner or later, something's going to pop in Harry's head. And if we lose King Charles, his mind is going to be in a very confused state indeed. I'd probably blame his brother for everything then. It's almost like you can't face your own world, so you blame somebody else. So that's how I see that's going. My God, I've gone off on a real tangent again. But a lot of this is about thinking about these things, and where does it come from? It's kind of a reading into Harry there, I suppose you could call it. Sort of, that's what my feeling is about when I tune into him. What do I sense is going on in the man's mind? And I feel a very confused individual who's being stoked all the time by a woman that is out for all sorts of other things, and uses these things to create, really, I suppose, ultimately a sort of sense of delusion. Really, he's kind of deluded in a way, self-deluded, which is great, very sad. Anyway, so that was my first prediction, was about and I see that the king's illness progressing, but he refuses to delegate more responsibilities to Prince William because he wants to keep doing it himself. Charles is going to want to do his absolute most as a king. I mean, he waited a long time to be king, and he wants to use and savor every minute. He's a man in a hurry, a bit like Trump, who missed his opportunity for his second term and wants to cram it all in. And I think Charles is in a very similar mindset. And that's why, in many ways, Charles and Trump, strangely enough, have a certain understanding between themselves, because they know that time is limited. They both have had a brush with death and both want to try to do something significant. So that's when it comes to Charles meeting Donald Trump. That's going to be quite interesting too, because I've said here also that King Charles will be kind of quite sympathetic to Trump. He's not allowed to be sympathetic to any politician in particular. But I feel that there's some form of honor offered to Trump. Maybe something to try to sort of smooth the ways again about trade between Britain and America, and rebuild the special relationship between America and Britain. And Trump tends to look at individuals rather than countries. He looks at Russia as Putin. He looks at China as Xi Jinping, and so forth. He looks at the individuals like he would with a company, as they go to the managing director, not to the company, to make a deal. And I think Charles is going to do some quite major stuff with this. And I saw a kind of a symbolic honor given to him. Now, Charles can't say, I'll make you a king or a lord or a whatever. He can't do that sort of thing. He doesn't have that power. That's in the power of the state. But there might be some form of, I felt as if there was some ceremonial sort of honor that he would offer to Trump when he comes over. And I feel it would be something connected with Scotland. So it's like, it's not an official peerage as such, but it will stir a lot of controversy when this happens, I feel. Something is going to be offered to him. Already we've had that business with why don't you become a member of the Commonwealth? Which very debatable just what that meant or how much was said or any of it. It certainly made the headlines. But I think there's going to be a kind of a gesture of some sort that relates to Scotland, I feel. And it will spark a bit of a divide generally within the royal family and in the public, as a symbolic clash between the old world traditions and modern power. That's the sort of thing I was saying there, is that prediction. So that's one of my other ones around King Charles III, really, and also with Queen Camilla, because I feel that Camilla is hiding an illness. Now, she always gives me, when I kind of connect into her, and Jane has said the same thing to me, I feel she's a lot more frail than people think. And she'll outlive Charles, I feel. And after she's outlived Charles, she'll be the Dowager Queen, she'll be known as, I feel. And she will come into dreadful conflict with William. I really feel there will be a major clash there. But is there something hidden in her background there of illness of some sort? I noticed, and Jane's noticed this and said to me, Jane said to me the other day, she's either got Parkinson's because she shakes a lot, or perhaps she drinks too much, which could be the case. I don't know, but this is speculative. But I feel as if there's something quite not right there. Now, moving on to Kate Middleton and Prince William. I mean, some of these predictions were put into the mail. They were kind of intertwined into an article about myself and my life, because they asked me about what I do and about my life and things like that, and my history of me as a medium and so forth. And they intertwined some of the predictions into it, which I thought very clever way of writing an article. But anyway, so I also addressed in my list of predictions to them some things about Middleton and William. So one of the predictions I've got written down here, I said he will see prediction, we will see the shape of William's future kingship manifest over the coming months. His father focused on the environment. With the monarchy under William will focus under mental health issues and safeguarding early childhood development. So my thoughts are that he's going to take on, and we'll see this soon. He already has this to an extent, to be honest. But I feel as if his flag that he's going to carry will be for mental health. And he's kind of seen in many respects the breakdown of his brother William, his brother Harry, because it feels as if, and there's mental health issues all around him when you think about it, even when we look at a lot of the issues in the family. And I feel that's going to become one of the flags he carries, and presumably also, I would feel, as well as mental health, physical health with cancer and things like that. So it's about the health of the nation. It's about the health of the individuals. It will perhaps be things that will make us rethink in the years to come what's happening with the National Health Service, for example, in the years to come, as that becomes weaker and has to be remodeled in some way. He will become the voice of the health of the nation. And I said here also, William will be a somewhat sad kingly figure, as he will long outlive his heroic wife, Kate, because Kate isn't well, and I feel William will outlive him. But this was something I said about a long time ago, when we referred before, before all this happened, before the illness of Kate was diagnosed. And he will make many reforms to the monarchy. He will strip out the hangers-on, and he'd be ruthless with Prince Andrew, whom he will throw out of the Royal Lodge in Windsor Great Park. It might even happen sooner than that, but he will have no quarter with his creepy uncle. Charles, I feel at the moment, is sort of saying, well, I can't quite do that. His family, but I think William's going to be quite ruthless with him, and we'll see him becoming quite that we'll see Prince Andrew being quite sneered at by the world. Now, I also said I foresee Kate becoming a unifying figure bridging the gap between the monarchy and the public through her empathic approach and personal experiences. This evolution may well lead to championing causes that resonate with her journey and health awareness and family support systems, marking transformative phase in the royal path. The, it's like the two of them together, because of the challenges they've had, because of the threat they've had to their very personal life and personal family, and their royal duties, of course. They're going to make family the heart of their drive forward, and the threat that's upon the family and maintaining the family through difficulties, through deaths and so forth. And I feel that they're going to become very powerful. Like I said a long time back, I saw Kate becoming a heroic figure. I said that 3 or 4 years ago, a heroic figure, which she has become to us, hasn't she? Now, I said here also, Harry and Meghan will be formally stripped of their HRH titles. Now, it's not happened yet, and it could happen soon. But there's going to be more moves to strip them of, because they've abused the usage of it, haven't they, recently? Meghan has abused the usage of it. She still wants to be Her Royal Highness, and all her marketing and all her image, everything is about her connection with royalty. She is a reflected light, is she not? She is not the light itself. She can only shine while the royal family's there. If there was no royal family, she'd be nothing. She'd be nobody. She's an untalented individual that has big ideas greater than her station. And without Harry, without the royal family, she would have been nobody. We've never have heard of her. And so this loss of branding, I've said here, will severely impact the Sussexes' business and public perception. With funds drying up from so many failed projects, Meghan will then publish a book. Now, she's likely to do this, but I want to say something specific about that, because I say that in that book, in the title of it, I was trying to see, could I see the title? And I saw the word mother. It will be something with the word mother. She will want to play on the fact that I'm a marvelous mother, because again, her connection, her link to royalty has to also be through her children, who she has estranged from the family. But I feel that mother thing is going to be in there. And as she gets older, she'll be, oh, I'm the great mom. I'm the great cook at home. She's already doing that, of course. But, it's like almost taking on a grandma image as being the caring one, the one that nurtures everybody, not the poisonous, whatever we might call her. Anyway, hey, I also said another prediction. Harry and Meghan's relationship is not good. Now, we know that. But I feel that it's really much, much more strained than it comes to light. Harry is absolutely compromised in how he feels about life. And I'm saying here, within the next 18 months, Harry will make moves to return to the UK. The seed of this split will be seen when he spends time away from Meghan on an activity of some sort. Now, I felt it was something possibly had a military feel to it, possibly Canada. Now, the Mail didn't print this, but that's one of the things that I was feeling, that there's going to be a split there, but there's some connection with Canada or something military. It's like I'm meeting with the old mates again. And for a while, I'm sort of a free man for a while. And I'm confident again. And I feel that he'll start to really rethink here. I mean, where can he find his roots? He's a man that is very, very much alone in the world. Harry is a very, very lonely figure. I feel deeply sorry for him on so many levels, because although we might look at him and say he's entitled and he's deluded and he's got a real chip on his shoulder and full of hatred towards this country and is hated by this country, he has become a very solitary figure. How could he survive without Meghan? How could he survive without his children? He would find it very, very difficult. He's been weakened tremendously. And I think a point will come when he'll start to think, I've got to find my mojo again. I've got to find my self-confidence again. And that could only come if he could distance himself from the overwhelming power of Meghan in his life. And I also now would say here, and Jane said this to me actually as much, Meghan will try to hold on to Harry by announcing that she plans to have another baby. So that's another one that I feel is coming up, announcing that she would want to have another baby, right? Not necessarily announcing she's pregnant. And then, of course, there's our delightful Prince Andrew. And we have here the legal engagements around Prince Andrew are not over. Now, entanglements rather, not engagements. The legal entanglements around Prince Andrew are not over. That's what I've said. But I foresee previously hidden witnesses, documents or lawsuits emerging, possibly from the US, that reopens public debate and drags him reluctantly back to the global spotlight. So something more's coming up here, and I've clarified why I see that, because I say further down, I sense that Andrew has secret connections with both Jeffrey Epstein and Weinstein. I predict that new allegations will come to light soon that implicate him in further offences. So there's something else. We've seen the main one, but there's something else that's been kept under wraps, and something will come in, and there'll be hints in the court about this, and then we'll see something revealed about it. And I'm saying here also, Andrew is compiling. So this is another prediction. Andrew is compiling a private record of events behind closed doors, a memoir that's not intended for publication yet. And I see in this I see whispers that this document could be used as leverage if he's ever forced from the Royal Lodge or publicly shamed again. It's like he's got some nuclear bomb written down. He knows other stuff, and I feel he's putting that in there. And look, if this is my memoirs, I don't intend to publish this, but come at me, and this might actually be, I might find my memoirs. If you're not going to give me any money, I'm going to have to earn some money, just like Meghan's done. My book could bail me out, but it would be more explosive than anybody's. So the guy's a twit. The guy's not liked by people, but does he have something up his sleeve that he could even use? So I saw that. Now, they asked me other things. And so I also made a couple of other predictions, which I've kind of said elsewhere, but I've said Keir Starmer will be gone as Prime Minister within 100 days. So I feel he's got 100 days or less as Prime Minister of this country. So this video is being made on the 6th of May, 2025. Let's see what happens. Because I'm saying the scandals that are being suppressed about him, excuse me, still got that cold. The scandals that are being suppressed about him will come under closer press scrutiny, and his position will become untenable, coupled with the huge electoral losses to Reform in the upcoming regional votes, which have happened. Of course, that's already happened. And his position as PM is unsustainable. And I say Yvette Cooper will replace him, and that is, I've also predicted that elsewhere. They also asked me what will happen with Ukraine. Are we ever in danger of being nuked? And I did comment on that as well, because I said a peace deal will be made, but it will soon fall to pieces. And I have commented that before. So there will be a peace deal in Ukraine, but it will fall apart. And a new invasion of Ukraine will occur via Belarus. And although many will fear nuclear war because of this crisis and others that will occur in Taiwan, Iran, and Pakistan, the world will not see a nuclear war in our lifetimes. I've explained why I've said that before in the past, because of the early trance mediumship that came through when I was in Circle. And then they also asked me about celebrity traitors. And actually, I haven't even seen the show, so I had to take a stab at this. So this was probably more of a guess than in clairvoyance. I had to go, what do I pick up? Looked at the list of who's on it. And I said, Sir Stephen Fry will win. And he hates psychics and mediums, so win or lose, he's a winner in that respect. If I get it wrong, you can say, see, psychics are rubbish. If he gets it right, I don't believe in it. And I saw Claire Balding as coming in second, but that one is much more of a, I mean, that people always think, you know, you psychics, you know everything. And of course we don't. As I said in the article, as well as I say very often, it's through a glass darkly. You only see so much, actually, and certain things come to you and you get a good feeling about it. And sometimes you get things wrong. I've got a few things wrong lately. You know, I didn't get it right with Canada, and I didn't get it right with Australia with their politics. So I was completely off kilter there. And that happens sometimes too, sadly. But hopefully I get more right than the pundits, and I get more right than wrong. But, you know, sometimes you don't. And so let's see where it goes. But that's my gut feeling with things. That's my feelings of the way things are going for the royal family at the moment. And I'm sure I'd like to do some more of these. And if I can rope Jane into doing another show together, we can talk about some of those perhaps on that. But anyway, what are your thoughts? Do put your thoughts in the comments below, and if you love this channel, please support it. Become a patron perhaps, or become a YouTube channel member, or maybe support my workshops, or buy one of my books, or better still, have a look in the description below and you can make a donation to our charitable work, our work with the Spiritual Center. It's all in there. There's a GoFundMe link in there, for example. Anyway, thanks for being parts of this. Thanks to all of you for supporting the show, and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye for now. If you look back at my earlier predictions, and in particular the predictions I made on the newspaper, The Sun's website, I did actually say on there, the actual words were, there will be a flu epidemic linked to bioterrorism. And my thoughts are that Liz Truss will make it to the final, be the next PM. I think she will actually have a final battle between her and Rishi Sunak. We've not seen the full end of Boris Johnson either, I tell you. But Rishi Sunak actually will eventually, I feel, be the next leader of the Conservatives. So I think there's going to be a few conflicts that Britain's going to be drawn into, including I think Russia is going to take some moves against Ukraine. I think she will make it past her platinum jubilee, which comes up this year. But I think after that, we'll see a sudden and quick deterioration in the Queen's health. And I think we might lose the Queen towards the end of 2022. There's going to be a huge backlash from over the Netflix programs and screening, because I feel it comes out at a bad time. Charles will come to become King Charles, but his reign, I feel, will be short. I said that Prince Charles would be hit by an egg. And of course, there it is, all in the press today. Marvelous person she is. She does something extraordinary. That could even put her life a little bit at risk with the way she did this. Okay. Is there something also there that's not been spoken about fully? Did they also discover something with Kate that wasn't quite right? A huge swarm of people knocking the doors of Europe and America. And I feel that Ukraine conflict is going to be a kind of a grinding conflict that goes on and on. I also feel that there's something going to happen in the Middle East as well. I feel as if there's going to be a sudden an unexpected thing happened in the Middle East. So I feel they're going to take it into their own hands, and I feel we're going to get a strike from Israel. This is going to be one of the significant things in 2023. I've said it before and I say it again. I feel Israel, with the help from the USA, will strike the Iranian nuclear facilities. I said that there would be an earthquake that would shake New York. At this time, I've been sensing that for a while that there's going to be a big earthquake of some sort, and this could well come up during April period. I'm seeing a bridge collapsing, actually the whole infrastructure of it going. I predict something very dark happens to President Joe Biden. He's been pulled from power, sacked, as it were, and quite close to the election time. But I kind of sense it's more to do with illness, perhaps, senility, and people stopping him because of that. So it could even be that a new candidate will run for the presidential nominee. I predict that Trump will win the November 2024 election. And I feel very strongly that the black vote is going to move towards Trump. See him as a sort of a bit of a cool guy. I can't see Trump being put in jail despite what they're throwing at him. I can't see a jail sentence with him. But I get the feeling one of the candidates has an attempt on the candidate's life. Could there have been a plan to assassinate either him or Trump, perhaps? There's going to be an assassination attempt on Trump, I think. And that will fail. But he might maybe get wounded or something like that. A hit or attack on our airplanes, maybe on passenger flights or even freight flights. Because I also had, at a similar time, I was also seeing this image of helicopters on fire as well. I seem to see like the west of America on fire and the east of America underwater, huge winds. And I actually saw, just like we had a major problem here in the UK where a tower block went up on fire, I see a tower block deserted